Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the 2023-2024 national budget, the coalition government announced the formulation of a new national development plan. The preparatory works on the NDP began in November 2023 with consultations amongst respective ministries and government agencies. On 16 January 2024, Cabinet approved the framework and approach for the formulation of the new NDP. And following a very consultative and inclusive process, the National Development Plan 2025 to 2029 and Vision 2050 was prepared and launched on 17 September 2024 by the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister Kamkamida on behalf of the Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the National Development Plan 2025-2029 and Vision 2050 is an outcome of an inclusive and participatory approach. It was developed through inputs and feedbacks received from meetings of 11 thematic working groups based on key themes in relation to the economy and our people. A nationwide public consultation with civil society organizations, political parties, faith-based organizations, written submissions received from the general public, recommendations from the 2023 National Economic Summit, Fiscal Review Committee report, and the National Education Summit also provided valuable inputs into the formulation of the NDP. The NDP, Mr. Speaker, was prepared under the overall guidance of the Strategic Planning Office of the Ministry of Finance, and I take this opportunity to thank each and everyone for their contributions to this major national document. Mr. Speaker, the National Development Plan 2025-29 and Vision 2050 is founded on the vision of empowering the people of Fiji through unity. And the Honourable Prime Minister has talked about this since we came into government. To lay the groundwork for achieving the vision, the NDP contains policies and strategies across three pillars: economic resilience, people empowerment, and good governance. The goal of the NDP is to bring greater prosperity to the nation, reduce poverty, and improve the social and economic well-being of our people. Our people will be at the center of development, and the NDP, therefore, Mr. Speaker, is a plan for the people. The National Development Plan is also aligned with our global and regional commitments, such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, and the 2050 Strategy for the Blue Pacific Continent. Mr. Speaker, the National Development Plan puts in focus a new plan that has been translated into goals, policies, and strategies with a clear set of key performance indicators for each identified sector. The 5-year plan and the long-term 25-year vision sits on the three broad pillars. The overall focus of the new plan is on building macroeconomic confidence, sustainable management of natural resources, catalyzing economic growth, and diversifying the economy, uplifting the socio-economic well-being of our people, including our indigenous people, developing public infrastructure, protection of environment, and a commitment to good governance and institutional reforms. Mr. Speaker, the NDP also presents Fiji's Vision 2050, which offers an opportunity to chart our own destiny, to determine what we want as a nation, how we see ourselves, and where we want to be in 25 years. A prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable nation. The vision outlines the long-term development goals based on the aspirations of the people and will guide the short and medium-term plans. Mr. Speaker, Fiji and our people aspire to be a high-income country by 2050, bringing a better quality of life for all. Achieving this vision will require ambitious reforms and tackling long-standing issues that have held us back from economic and social progress. A business-as-usual approach will not achieve this vision. Some of the key issues the NDP identifies that we need to address include labour productivity, infrastructure deficit in transportation and health sectors, female and youth labour force participation rate, investor and business confidence, ongoing skills mismatch, and political stability. Mr. Speaker, we call for commitment to prudent and effective planning in the implementation of the NDP in achieving the key KPIs identified in the plan. There is a need to ensure that this plan is based on availability of resources, aligning resources with revenue forecasts to maintain financial stability, and guarding against the pitfall of over-ambitious projections and underfunded priorities. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry is focusing on developing a detailed implementation plan with clear resource allocations. We urge all for effective coordination and collaboration between government and development partners to maximize resource allocation and utilization. We believe the silo approach towards service delivery has persisted and has limited the intended purpose of the programmed approach to planning and implementation in the government. Mr. Speaker, the process of implementation is anchored on a result-oriented, transparent and accountable implementation, monitoring and evaluation mechanism. Monitoring, will involve regular gathering of data to assess progress towards the desired outputs and outcomes, reporting of the progress based on set timelines, and timely intervention to undertake corrective measures where necessary. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the Chapter 9 of the NDP lays out the implementation, monitoring and evaluation framework and the processes. Mr. Speaker, state capacity and coordination are also crucial in ensuring an effective implementation and achieving the outcomes of the NDP. The government is committed to building and expanding capacity in the civil service towards policy planning and execution for the effective implementation and achieving NDP outcomes. The annual national budgets, will be based on the development priorities set out in the NDP and will provide the financial resources to support the implementation. I am happy to note that a number of strategies outlined in the NDP have already been factored in the 2024-2025 national budget. For example, the allocation of 5.75 million has been provided for in the 2024-2025 budget for groundwater assistance program, which will increase access to safe and affordable drinking water in large and smaller islands. And I'm very pleased to inform Parliament, Mr. Speaker, that the task force led by the Honourable Minister for Lands is working very diligently because we want to ensure that we are able to deliver as much as possible for our rural people and those in the maritime and islands. Mr. Speaker, the government greatly appreciates inputs received from members of the public who attended the public consultations held around the country. They did it freely, without fear, and provided excellent inputs, not only on the short-term basic things, but also in the medium and long-term what the country ought to do. Technical support, Mr. Speaker, from the World Bank is gratefully acknowledged, with special recognition to the team that is based here in Fiji and covering Fiji. Special thanks are extended to permanent secretaries, senior leadership of the Fiji government civil service for their partnership and guidance in preparing the NDP. And I want to, Mr. Speaker, once again, reiterate and thank all the permanent secretaries. I think they played a significant and important and critical role in the formulation of the NDP. Mr. Speaker, we have now commenced on what I call a transformative national journey. In this journey, the National Development Plan 2025-2029 and Vision 20 is going to be our guiding light. And we are on this shared journey together. We will remain united and progress together to rebuild this country and realize its potential for all our people. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Honourable Prime Minister to thank all the honourable members of this Parliament for their contribution, my colleagues this side, the Honourable Deputy Prime Ministers and Ministers, towards the formulation of the plan. And I also want to thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition and all the opposition members who attended the launch of the NDP last month. Mr. Speaker, I want to emphasize this because the attendance from both sides of the House at such an important national event actually sent a very, very strong signal on the bipartisanship that we are building in this House. And I can tell you, sir, that with confidence, it has contributed to building confidence amongst our people, private sector, and the development partners in particular. It helps bring the nation together, which is critical to our development and prosperity, which is exactly what the vision of the plan, empowering the people of Fiji through unity, says, Mr. Speaker. So we have clearly seen the impact of the bipartisanship and the overwhelming support, including that from the opposition, towards our recent 2024-2025 budget on the economy, and we are very pleased with that support. And with the strong support for the budget and the major policy measures, including pay rise for civil servants, increase in the national minimum wage, government capital projects, and the slightly higher fiscal deficit have boosted confidence and helped raise economic activity. It has clearly, Mr. Speaker, reversed the economic slowdown that we had noted in the months just prior to the budget, which actually led us to revise the growth forecast from 3% to 2.8% in the budget. But since then, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Finance and the Reserve Bank of Fiji have been closely monitoring the economic developments, and we have noted with a lot of satisfaction some significant positive developments thereafter. All major indicators for aggregate demand, including private sector lending, VAT collections, adjusted for the impact of the rate changes, which is a key indicator for domestic spending, 20% increase in government expenditure in the last 7 months, pickup on investment, import of investment goods, higher electricity consumption, increased vehicle sales, and improvements in incomes, and indicators like PAYE collections and remittances have all seen a significant pickup, Mr. Speaker. At the same time, our tourism industry, as has already been outlined by the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister Gavoka, has continued to do even better than our earlier expectations and over and above the record levels of last year. While we are forecasting a growth of around 3% in visitor arrivals, or while we were forecasting initially, Mr. Speaker, a growth of around 3% in visitor arrivals for this year, the arrivals to date shows that visitor arrivals have actually grown up by close to 7% in the last 8 months. We have in fact seen record arrivals month after month, and we are now anticipating that visitor arrivals will be just either below 1 million or it could go above million for 2024. And that will be another year of record tourist arrivals. We have also seen, Mr. Speaker, a turnaround in all major sectors and a pickup in investments, which is expected to improve further. And here, Mr. Speaker, I want to acknowledge the leadership of the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister Kamkamida for the reforms and the advocacy that has gone in terms of building confidence and attracting investors in all the sectors of the economy. The low interest rate environment has helped investments, and compared to Australia and New Zealand, Mr. Speaker, the low interest rate environment has actually helped us in our investments, and we are continuously working across government agencies to improve service delivery and ease of doing business. There are still, Mr. Speaker, some bottlenecks, but as a government, we are very clearly working on unraveling some of those obstacles. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, our resource sectors are still not doing as well as we would want them to, and are definitely below its potential. But that is also another area that is clearly enunciated in our National Development Plan, and the government is working on that. So, Mr. Speaker, based on all this preliminary data and trends, we are clearly looking at an upgrade to the 2024 growth forecast to around 3.5% or even higher now. However, the Macroeconomic Committee is currently reviewing these projections, and an official and independent forecast will be released next month. But as a nation, Mr. Speaker, and as we envisage in the NDP, to become a high-income country by 2050, the economy needs to grow at a consistent rate of 4 to 5% every year. Therefore, everyone, including governments, private sector, development partners, landowners, farmers, entrepreneurs, students, teachers, professionals, religious bodies, civil society organizations, and in fact, every family and every individual, including the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, who's given very strong support to the National Development Plan, help us to raise our growth and help realize the vision of our development plan. Only together, as the Honourable Prime Minister has always said, since coming into government, we can realize our collective vision and aspirations. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for allowing me to brief the House on the National Development Plan 2025-29 and Vision 2050. The NDP is available through the Ministry's website, Facebook platforms, and I urge everyone to take time and read through this very important national document and contribute towards its implementation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.